Dear audience, member of the jury and member of opposite team, greeting to you all. I had trouble introducing this subject, thinking about how to explain this philosophical notion in a simple way. Defining happiness can be a little bit tricky, but we're not here today to tell you the basic definitions that each one of you can easily find elsewhere. We are here today to show you and to teach you that you are the master of your own happiness, that you are the master of your own life choices. Indeed, dear audience, get ready to drive with us into the deep of a world of joy in which you are the hero. The painter makes drawing art with different colors, using his inner feeling to create a masterpiece that plays to everyone. Meanwhile, the musician delicately plays his instruments, making a musical note after another to create a perfect symphony that plays to everyone. Well, the writer writes carefully his novel, word by word, line by line, paragraph by paragraph. Filling with each letter he writes a kind of self-expression. They do what they love, they do what makes them happy. They turn their ideas, their feelings, and their dreams into words and symphony, melodies and colors that add joy to our life. Well, dear audience, you can be the painter holding your own brush to draw the canvas of your own happiness, to draw your own story, to add colors to your life, to go out and change the black and white casual mode. You can be the musician, harmonizing your life with the melodies and living in joy you deserve to. You can be a writer as well, writing your cheery, merry, joyful, glad story. Happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. No one will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. Your happiness will not come from outside. It only comes from you, as Arthur Marshall said. Also, Allah said in Holy Quran, in 10th ayat of Surah Al-Balad, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. And didn't we show him the two high roads? Even Allah, our Creator, gave us the right to choose between two ways. Either I will choose my happiness, I will choose to find out my own joy, enjoy and think I want, being what I want, do and think I want, overcoming melancholy, and enjoying every single moment as if it was my last. Or I will immerse myself more and more in darkness, and get lost in a storm of sadness and misery. I can anticipate what our dear opponent can say. What if I lose someone of my family? What if I lose my job? Then can I in this case choose my own happiness? Well, dear audience, no one can deny that life is about up and downs. But whenever you find yourself in such a situation, always remember that you have two options. Rather, you will accept it saying, oh, that's my field, or you will overcome it and start writing a new happy chapter of your own story. If I lose a job, I will not lock myself home, crying day and night. If someone passes away, I will not run my life for it. It's not the end. I still have a long journey to achieve, and I need to rewill my energy. I need to hold on my brush, to draw my own word, to draw my own happiness, to shout out myself, to say I'm here to create my own happiness, and thank you.
You spoke about writing a book, and authors writing word by word, phrase by phrase, paragraph by paragraph, but do you really think it was perfect from the beginning? No, they wrote a manuscript filled with mistakes that they had to send to their editors so it could be perfect. And then they're the heroes of their own lives? No, that's just a fake life. That's just you putting a smile on your face, but that's not really how it is behind closed doors, is it? Nevertheless, good morning to everyone present. Today we are in the midst of a profound and philosophical topic. But before I commence, I would like to give you all a small idea about what each of the members of my team is going to talk about. Starting with the Deputy Leader of Opposition, who will be discussing an unfortunate reality he has to live with. Then moving on, we have the Member of Opposition, who's going to give you all a whiff of life. And last but not least, the Opposition Whip, who's going to take you all to the saddest place on earth. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask for your attention because today I am afraid. I am afraid some of you might leave the room with the wrong idea or the incorrect message from today's debate. I am afraid, dear opponents, you are in need of clearing up your position because from where I stand, I see that by you defending the idea that humans hold the brush to paint their own happiness, you are implying that they are God and the creators and the commanders of their own lives. And if that is the case and that is true, then I'm afraid of you coming here behind the stands and giving false hope to our audience, making them believe that they can live a happy life with just a flick of the wrist. Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you can't live a happy life just because you wish it, or rather paint it. I mean, come on, we all know that that's just not how life works. It takes hard work and determination to live a life you enjoy. I mean, don't get me wrong, dear opponents, I would love nothing more than for what you stand for to be true. And if in fact I could paint my own happiness, then believe me, I would love to be in a forest staring at the starry sky, listening to the animals in their natural habitat. But I'm not. I'm standing here in a room in front of you all, in a room where there is no sky and no animals to listen to. But that's okay, because that's life, and I accept it, and I quite embrace it. That's why I'm standing here, going to take this opportunity to spread awareness to y'all and say that if life was, in fact, a canvas, then it's not going to be perfect. Your paint will not going to be the only one on it. You yourself are going to choose the wrong color. You yourself are going to draw the wrong shape. You yourself are going to shadow incorrectly. And not to mention the artists around you are going to accidentally or not to accidentally spill their paint all over your canvas. And the never-ending mishaps that are just out of your control are going to be all over your canvas, believe it or not. So dear opponents, that is why I urge you, I plead with you to wake up from your fantasy world, because that is not life. No, life is hard. Life is so hard. Please face the facts. You can't control external factors. No. You can't be happy all the time. You can't always have the paint you want. That's just not life. Life is hard. Life is tough. You are going to go through ups and downs, as you said. So please wake up. Wake up. This saying, I don't believe in it. No, we do not hold the brush to paint our happiness. No, I believe in humans are given the life, or live the life they are given, and can change it only and only with action. Thank you.
Dear audience, dear opposite team, before I get to start, I would love to clarify a few things for the opposite team. Basically, as we're claiming that we truly are holding the brush to draw the way to our own happiness, that does not necessarily mean that we are claiming that life is perfect or that we are gods or the creators. That truly is irrelevant. However, dear audience, dear opposite team, esteemed judges, welcome. I'm very happy to see you all here again. Very happy to be in the debate again. Happy, probably because school is over in 2 months. But then again, what's that? Sorry, happy, yeah, happiness. I'm pretty sure everyone has his own definition for that word. Some say that it's a joy sensation, it's a fulfillment and gratitude. Maybe more realistically, happiness is money, happiness is power, happiness is success. But regardless of what it is actually, I think we are more interested in knowing where it is, indeed. And that is exactly the topic of today's debate. So, does happiness really depend on the outside circumstances, or are we truly holding the brush to draw the way to our own happiness? To answer that, let us first of all question ourselves for a moment. See, since we're born, we're often told to do good at school, right? Why is that? So that later on we could have a good job And then why is that again? So that we could earn enough money, get the best partners, make our parents proud, and then finally be happy, right? And then with quick calculations, that's almost 18 years of school, 5 to 7 years of uni, 4 years looking for an appropriate job, find a partner, maybe not. And until now, main goal still missing, main goal is still not achieved. So when are we ever going to be happy? Tell me, when are we going to acknowledge that happiness is not a state of having, doing, or owning, but it's a state of being in the first place? See, there's this annual study made by the 2024 Happiness Reports by the CNBC channel that basically ranks Finland as the top 1 happiest country for the 7th year in a row. And you know, the reasons behind that are quite obvious. Finland has one of the most excellent educational systems. It has one of the greatest healthcare systems as well. Trustworthy government, low corruption levels. At some point, you might even wonder, why would anyone living there would be unhappy? But wait a second. That's a question itself. Does that necessarily mean that anyone living in Finland is truly unhappy, or that anyone living outside of Finland is actually sad?
Please.
Okay, go ahead.
You said that where you weren't saying that life wasn't perfect, you're just saying that you can be happy through it. But if life wasn't perfect, then how can you be happy throughout every part of it, knowing that you're sick, knowing that people are dying, knowing that you're dying out of hunger?
Well, I think I've already said this earlier in my speech. If you truly acknowledge that there are people dying and you understand that life is not going to be perfect, then you're just not going to admit that you're going to be unhappy for the rest of your life. Rather, you go and you create that piece of bond with yourself and acknowledge that you can finally be happy if you just see how really life's work out of the outside perspective. I hope that answers your question. As I was saying, sorry. So if happiness truly resides inside of us, why is it so hard for us to reach it in the first place? Actually, it took me a long time to answer that question, but now I genuinely believe that the reason behind that is because it is so easy for us to point the finger at everything else. It is so easy to just say that we don't choose whatever happens to us. But what we're missing is that we actually choose the way to respond to it. We choose, we don't choose to get treated badly from people, but we choose to intentionally forgive and forget and move on. We don't choose to experience failure. Okay, I'm sorry, I think it's over. Thank you.
Dear audience, before getting into starting my intervention, I would like to take a minute to analyze our topic. We hold the brush to paint the canvas for our own happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, it is imperative to acknowledge the multi-faced nature of human experience, while it is also crucial to recognize the profound impact that others have on our well-being. Esteemed judges, fellow debaters, distinguished audience member, good morning. In a world striving for harmony, racism persists as a dark force corroding the very essence of happiness. And while we gather here today to talk and debate about the terms of happiness, we confront a harsh reality. That the grip of races not only fractures communities, but also shatters the individual joy, breeding fear, inequality, resentment, which through discrimination and prejudice, it erects barriers to the human connection, depriving individuals from the fundamental sense of belonging and fulfillment. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take me as an example. As you can clearly see, I'm a man of color. This color was, and still is, either a source of problems or a source of happiness to me. The comments toward the skin were either a reason to be sad at the time or to smile again. But am I responsible for the way I was born? Am I responsible for this color? And so while my opponents give me different arguments, different speeches on how I would be happy, I just remember the times when I hated school so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my middle school years. Times when I used to hear new racist jokes every day. And yet, as it could seem like an exterior source of joy for others, I would see it like a hammer to smash my confidence every single day. The times when, beloved listener, I used to hide my disturbance and my sadness with a smile. The times when, beloved listeners, I would every day. The times when, ladies and gentlemen, Some people among you have not just hold the brush to paint the canvas for my happiness, but also to paint the canvas on my sadness. Ladies and gentlemen, as I saw my bullies like Picasso and Da Vinci, because they sure did excel in painting my sadness. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm speaking of my suffering, I feel a bit uncaring and selfish, because I remember the real suffer of the other black people. Like, yes?
So if I put you in a chaotic and sad situation, you're telling me that you wait and stay sad waiting for someone to make you happy?
Okay, I will answer you later. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not even mention the police brutality and the racial profiling when high-profile cases like the killings of Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, have showed the true colors of these racists. Let's not even mention the real case of suffering, slavery, times when black people weren't even allowed to speak, to talk, to express their feelings, to be in this type of stages. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me more. How can we deprive someone from his happiness and his freedom? Our opponents may argue that the impact of racism on happiness is overstated or exaggerated, citing instances of individual success or resilience in the face of adversity. But they seem to forget the real problems. While it is true that some individuals may overcome the odds and achieve personal success, the rational nature of racism ensures that countless other black people continue to suffer its insidious effects on their well-being and happiness. To my dear opponents, if you still think that you can ignore the conflicts, the losses, the criticism, the negativity, the betrayal of others, to say that only you who can hold the brush paint the canvas for your happiness, I say good luck, and please be prepared to be shocked as I see you far from seeing the true color of life. Thank you.
Dear opposite team, please, when we said that we can create our own happiness, we're not saying that we're living in La La Land in which each princess has her own prince to save her. I'm saying that we can adapt to life and we can make our own happiness. So dear audience, honorable members of the jury, and fellow opposition team, may you have one of the greatest mornings. Let us please consider for a moment the notion that happiness is something we can create, independent of our surroundings. Despite the storms that range around us, we have the innate ability to find beauty in chaos, to uncover moments of joy inside darkness. But how, you may ask, how am I going to find happiness in a world filled with chaos and problems? Well, the answer lies within us. It lies in our capacity to be grateful and to cherish the simple pleasures in life. There are some values that make a person happy. Values like positivity, kindness, patience, resilience, forgiveness, and many more. A person who has these values is a positive person. And the rule always says, positive attracts positive, which obviously attracts happiness. Yes.
You said that you would adapt to life and find your happiness, but you can't always adapt in life. How could you adapt to having stage 3 cancer, for example? You're dying, you can do anything. This is a sad situation.
Okay, but sorry, it depends on the person. You could have two different people in the same position. One could find their happiness and the other one could not. I'm saying that it depends on the person. There are some values, gratitude, for example. I'm dying tomorrow, I have cancer, then never mind, I'll die. Okay, I should be happy because I lived at least. As I was saying, life is just like a series of mountains. There's high and there's low. There's up and there's down. There's joy and there's sorrow. And we cannot change this reality. It's a fact, not an opinion. And so I would like to give you a beautiful quote to understand these more. Marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. Choose your hard. Obesity is hard. Being fit is hard. Choose your hard. Being in debt is hard. Being financially disciplined is hard. Choose your hard. Running a business is hard. Working a 9 to 5 is hard. Choose your hard. Life will never be easy. Yes.
You said that dying was okay. Don't you see that you are being delusional and unreal about the situation?
No, miss. I mean, I know we're humans and we are weak and I don't know, we cannot handle sometimes hardships. It may take time, but it just depends on the person is what I'm saying. It's some values in us. I know we're humans, but still we can manage and find our happiness. I mean, unless if you are like that. Well, so for example, if my mother dies, I mean, of course, I would be sad and I would live in grief and loneliness for a long time. But am I going to live like that my whole life? Am I going to wait for something or someone to make me happy? No, I mean, it should come from me. I should find my happiness again. I should be grateful for that situation even though it's bad and hard. I should know if my mother was still alive, she wouldn't want me to live like that. I know it may seem a little bit delusional, but it's reality. It depends on the person. Yes, it takes time, but we can do it. And as Albert Einstein said, if you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or things. Dear audience, this brush that you see in the topic is effectively our thoughts, mindsets, and attitudes. If you are a pessimistic and negative person, you would be sad in whatever situation you're in life. Thank you.
Seeing how people reacted when the deputy leader of my team was talking about what truly made him heartbroken in his childhood, seeing them laugh, call him names, oh my God, and you still talk about self-acceptance in this? You're such hypocrites. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable jury, esteemed members of the football community, good morning. I stand before you today with a heavy heart, burdened by the weight of shattered dreams, dashed hopes, and boundless sadness. And no, not because of me, not because of something I did, but because of something that is supposed to be a source of joy, of motivation, not only for me, but for a whole fandom. Last week, the unthinkable happened. FC Barcelona suffered a devastating defeat, sending shockwaves rippling through the hearts of millions of devoted fans around the world. Football is more than just a game. It is a passion, a way of life, and therefore, last week's loss had a profound impact on the collective happiness of an entire fandom. When our team suffers defeat, the pain cuts deep. And who in their right mind would want to feel that way? We hold the brush to paint our happiness, you said? Oh, how I wish that was true. How I wish I could make Barcelona be on its prime again. How I wish I could just get us through those quarterfinals and be happy. But I can't. I have to accept that defeat. And you, dear opponents, have to accept that your, everyone's happiness is something beyond our control. And to prove my point even more, while I'm still on the topic of football, we can all agree that the happiness Real Madrid fans felt was palpable, radiating from every corner of the entire globe. And where is that brush you've been talking about? Assuming you are Real Madrid fans, tell me, dear opponents, how did you contribute in the win and therefore creating this unmatched source of happiness? What? Did you paint Rodrigo scoring the goal? Or perhaps did you tell Rudiger which way to shoot his penalty? Now moving on to some other topic, moving on to some heartbreaking realities. I will not sugarcoat the bitter reality, but rather I will confront it head on with pure honesty. Let's start with a sobering fact. From the moment we are born, we are taught the importance of money. I know it might sound disturbing, but this is the real world. The stories are as heartbreaking as they are numerous. Families being torn apart because of financial hardships. Children being robbed of their innocence simply because of the cruel realities of poverty. How can you explain that? Do you think if they have the brush to paint their own life, their own happiness taken?
See, from the beginning, you've been, describing how hard life may be. Now, my question to you is, how do you explain and how do you address instances where individuals coming from disadvantaged backgrounds have achieved real happiness?
Achieving real happiness, you said? I think you may want to reconsider that, because if they achieve their happiness, it means their financial surroundings are finally stable, not because they self-accepted themselves. Now back to what I was saying. Do you think if these people could have that brush to paint their own life, their own happiness, they wouldn't have used it? Do you think they live in this miserable life because they want to? Self-acceptance has nothing to do with this, because if your financial surroundings are not stable enough, you will never be happy. What you are trying to defend is simply impossible and unreal. You can't just spew pretty words in hopes of changing the world, of making it go within your unrealistic norms. Wake up to reality, shut that alarm, and stop dreaming. Thank you.
Dear audience, dear leader of opposition, respectfully, you mentioning that we can't control external situations and circumstances is very right. But sometimes, to reach a goal, we need to start small. In our case, what I mean by small is our goal, is our mindset. Oh, please, tell me you can't control your mindset. If you can't, then no external circumstances can please you. Now, dear member of the opposition, football is out of our topic, but I guess I'll play your game. So, dear opposition, Barca fans, yes, Barca lost, but is it the end of the world? Picture this. The fact that you came with a wild smile today represents that your mind controls your emotions. Now, dear audience, our topic today is we hold the brush to paint the canvas of our own happiness. This emphasizes individuals' autonomy and self-determination, arguing for personal agency, for shaping a fulfilling life. Now, in a world today where external forces vie for control over our own happiness, it is vital to acknowledge that we have the power to shape our destinies. Now picture this, your decisions and my decisions presents a stroke of our brush, contributing to the masterpiece of our lives. Now delving deeper, we find that our happiness is not fully controlled by external circumstances, but by our internal mindset and actions. Recognizing our influence over our happiness empowers us to navigate through challenges with ease and resilience and search for growth and fulfillment. Now, research done by psychologist Sanja Libomirsky underscores the impact of intentional actions on happiness. Libomirsky advocates for proactive steps like gratitude and kindness, empowering individuals to create their own happiness. Now, similarly, Dr. Martin Seligman's studies in positive psychology highlight learned optimism. Now, learned optimism suggests we can cultivate positivity by challenging negative thoughts and focusing on strengths. Now, let's give you a real-life examples like Nelson Mandela and Helen Keller. Further to illustrate this concept, despite facing adversity, their resilience... Yes?
On a scientific note, there are people who inherit mental disorders from their parents, and they can naturally never be happy. How can you say they hold the brush to their happiness?
Now, I can answer this by... There are a lot of ways, such as therapy. Now, furthermore, everyday individuals worldwide demonstrate this principle, from single parents juggling multiple jobs to students overcoming academic challenges. Countless people exhibit resilience and strength in shaping their own happiness. Now, in conclusion, we hold the brush to paint the canvas of our own happiness, underscores personal agency and self-determination. Recognizing our power to shape our destinies allows us to lead lives filled with joy, meaning, and fulfillment. Thank you.
Dear Prime Minister of the government, you said that if you were in a sad situation, you would wait for a new chapter to start so you could be happy. But if you were the one choosing when and how to be happy, then why wouldn't you choose to be happy in your current chapter? Because you don't choose. Also, you said, and you act like you can only do actions, you can only be human if you're happy. If I'm put in a sad situation, I will be sad, but I will still work, I will still do my jobs. There's doctors that are depressed that have 488-hour surgeries. Can you tell them that no, just because they're depressed, they can't do anything? No, that's not the case. This is not life. And you also said, dear member of the government, that everyone has their definitions in our debate. I agree, but not every team has their arguments. Because you said that if you were, that your happiness is linked to your existence, to your being, that being happy is just existing in itself, then your teammate said that if she were dying, if her existence were to end, she would still be happy. You're contradicting yourselves. Convincing us is hard. Convincing your teammate is hard. It seems like you don't like to choose anything hard. Also, you said that our existence and happiness are...
please?
Yes, sure.
You said that I can't choose to be happy. Does it
Of
mean...
course.
Does it mean whenever I'm sad, I have to always be sad and never try to look after that? Thank you.
No, I will remind you exactly what you said. Life is divided in chapters. In a chapter, I'm sad because something external made me sad. In the next chapter, I don't know what will happen. Something that would bring me happiness could happen. I could have a great grade. I could, as a Real Madrid fan, and I'm confirming Salwa's word, I would be happy, and I was so happy when we won. So it's not just about one state. Life is not just one chapter. It's a book. In war, there are no unwanted soldiers, no bliss, no delight. Only deadly weapons, dead corpses, and shattered dreams. But somehow our dear government today thinks that such tools could be used to paint happiness. I'd like to see this so-called happiness that is painted using war, misery, and death. I'd like to see it, but I know that I can't. Because it doesn't exist. And if you think that's not the case, if you think that you could ever be happy while fighting a war, then you must have never heard of war. So let me paint you a grim picture of it, because unlike happiness, I actually hold the brush of imagination. Imagine waking up not to your phone alarm, but to the deafening roar of explosions. Imagine the acrid smell of smoke constantly choking your lungs. Imagine the face of your loved ones, your parents, your siblings, your friends, concerned in agony as they fall right beside you, staining the ground crimson.
POI?
Sure.
So you're saying that, for example, if only bad things happen to a person, they're going to stay sad, they won't do anything, they're going to wait for another chapter?
There's no such things as only bad things happening in life. If that were the case, then, as you said, God wouldn't even have created us. God created us to worship. God gave us hardships, and God gave us good things. God gave us ni'am, and He gave us also bad things to survive through. So no, there's no person that could live just a sad life. And I will say and tell you again to imagine the weight of the rifle, each pull of the trigger, driving home the cruel reality of taking another human life, and the reminder that the next time you won't be the one pulling the trigger, but the one in front of the trigger. Imagine that while you're drowning in all this wistfulness, someone tells you that you can choose to be happy, that this happiness is a choice you're choosing not to make, and that it has nothing to do with the war going on in your country. Do you genuinely think that makes sense? Do you think that people who are barely surviving even have the luxury to think of something like happiness? Do you think that if, God forbid, Morocco was ever a war zone, you could be happy? Thank you.
Well. Happiness is not about money, it's not about what I have, it's not about what I want. Happiness in psychology is a moral state. Also, do you know why life is not perfect? It's because each person in this earth is waiting for another one or another thing to make him happy, totally ignoring our self and mindset power. I want you, dear audience, to always put in mind that those people who are trying to convince you that your happiness is related to several factors are just weak people who are afraid to face their problems. They blame fate for their sad lives and always keep hiding under this alibi. Thank you.
Dear Deputy Prime Minister, you just said that money doesn't make happiness, but your own Deputy Prime Minister said that anybody makes their happiness through their own way, and she stated that money does make happiness, so you're contradicting your own self. Anyways, dear audience, I hope you enjoyed the lovely words and the pretty pictures they painted for you, but welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to reality. A world where we paint our happiness is a world that does not exist. A world where we paint our happiness is glorified beyond its capacity. A world where we paint our happiness is far from reality. And a person who believes that is a person who sees life through pink-colored glasses. And unfortunately, not everybody has those pink-colored glasses. Some have dark ones, some have broken ones, and some don't even have glasses. A person who sees life that way is a person who dances through life. But unfortunately, not everybody can do that. Some can only walk, while some have to run, and some don't even have legs. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't agree with this. Thank you.
Dear audience, dear opposite team, before I get to start, I would love to clarify a few things for the opposite team. As you're saying that if you're dying, how would you be happy? Well, my question to you, what do you suggest that we do? Just delve in our own depression and give up our last living moments? I mean, honestly, I would rather choose to be happy in those last moments than just give up my life, because you're gonna die anyways. And so, dear audience, now hearing both teams' main opinions on a main topic, I think we may be a little bit suspicious at this point. And I think that is mainly because of how hard the outside life circumstances may be. Because truly, it is very tricky. It is so hard to even convince yourself that you'd still be happy when you're broke, when your loved ones are suffering and other stuff. Which got me a little bit thinking from another perspective. Now imagine with me watching a movie where in the beginning of the movie, the main character goes into really bad stuff. You know, his mother dies, he loses his job, his partner leaves him, and whatever. And so, oh my God, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can see that our opponents have embraced the quantity over quality approach to argumentation. So let me give you a real taste of logic, in fact. Let's think for a moment about the cherished moments that hold the walls of your mind. How many of them were created in solitude, and how many of them were the result of a shared one with a loved one? Either it's a laughter among friends or the warmth of a hug from a family member. It is clear that the relationships we make and the bonds we make is the relationship of our happiness. And answering the member of the government, do you think after being whipped, after being ordered to pick cotton, after being ordered to not say a word, do you think you would be happy? Dear opponents, I would love to engage with your arguments, but it's like kitchen smoke with a fishing net. Thank you.
Dear opposition team, I think you're being pessimistic and negative about things. I mean, life is hard indeed, but we can adapt. We are humans. We have a brain. You know, let me give you a comparison between the inseparable birds, who are a kind of birds who, when they find their mate, they stay together forever, and a crazily in love human couple. So in the case of birds, their instinctual behavior drives them to experience grief and loneliness when separated from their mate. However, while the pain of loss may be intense, humans have the capacity for resilience, adaptation, and personal growth even after the death of a partner. Do you know what the difference is between those birds and us? We have a brain. It is through our thoughts, mindset, and attitudes that we hold the brush to paint the canvas of our own happiness. Thank you.
said, "Oh, darling, do you know how expensive therapy is? And yet you claim that poor people can be happy too? And do you know how it is considered in our society? Unless you want to be more depressed, therapy it is." And Deputy Prime Minister and member of opposition, we are not living in a romantic Disney movie or an imaginary scenario in your head. Stop being delusional. Stop giving false hope. Stop lying to yourselves. If you could have that brush to paint your own happiness, you would have had good arguments to help you win the debate and be happy. But it is impossible because we simply do not hold the brush to paint our happiness. And just take people around us as an example. The first key to living a happier and healthier life is positive close relationships. And that's what Harvard scientists concluded after 85 years of studying human happiness. So quit treating us like kids and get real. Thank you.
Member of the opposition, you think I'm lying? Isn't religion a therapy? Now, talking about chapters, dear opposition whip, I'm sure that thinking this way is going to end your story at chapter 1. Now, respectfully, lady, people having such a mindset are greedy, not physically. Now, hear me out. Talking about taking only good in life is going to store the bad for the rest. Now, same things happens to the relationships. Now, look, being a coward, to not take the bad in life with a smile, doesn't kill you. It poisons you. Now, to be happy, dear audience, you need to stop worrying. Now, do you have problems in your life? Can you do something about it? If yes, why worry? And if no, why worry? Thank you.
Yeah, sure, you can laugh when your life is hard. After all, if you're in a war and drowning in your mother's love, you can laugh. It's funny. And I'm not going to tell you what to do when you're dying and you're sick. I'm going to tell you what people do and think. When people are dying of stage 3 cancer, they're not thinking of happiness, they're suffering, they're thinking of death. They want to get away from all this suffering. Because in suffering, happiness has no place. Like in Palestine, happiness has no place either. Because children and infants are being killed every single day. And everyone has to choose between saving themselves or just letting themselves go and letting their people they love go. And children, fathers have to watch the woman that cared for them their whole life being raped continuously for more than 10 hours by multiple Israeli soldiers. No break, no humanity, just monsters that know no limits, not even when it comes to pregnant women, not even when it comes to children. And there's other monsters out there. Egypt, an Arab and Muslim country, asking for $10,000 to help evacuate one single person from Gaza, knowing that it's the only border they still didn't close, knowing that Palestinians are dying of hunger. Now, what do you got to say about this?